what's the key roles of an OT tech in general first, and then we'll talk about more specifically with cdoc, but in general.
Okay, so in general, it's looking at activities of daily living, so it's very wide. We take the person as a whole, so we'll be looking at anything from self-care, which is including activities, any hobbies, any community, home life, social, it's that varied.
Yeah, fantastic. And in terms of your work with people in a prolonged disorders of consciousness, what's the key role for OT technicians with that particular patient population?
So I'm here to support the occupational therapist in their SMART assessments usually, but we look at the person first and make sure they're provided with good posture, seating, any splinting, and then it's obviously looking at family life and the role that we can help with the family and any sort of social kind of and community assessments. So my skills would be, I wouldn't be making the splints. It would be just making sure they fit correctly, they're able to be put on if there's any damage, and monitoring hand splints. We do look at collars as well, just to make sure if we're taking somebody out into the community, because we still take people out and families still want to go out, and making sure that they're safe and secure in their chair.
And in terms, you mentioned about sensory assessment, so what do you do in the sensory assessment?
So that can be varied, so it could be hospital based, it could be looking at any sort of tactile, visual, auditory, kind of music based. We've got the music therapist, which is helpful for us. We can look at kind of different environments is quite important, so we will actually suggest to go out outside, even if it's in the garden, or do a longer activity to an area that the person enjoyed visiting.
So kind of taking some kind of almost leadership around varying the environments for the person, so they're away from the ward when they can be, and when they're on the ward that they're not overstimulated, but that there's the appropriate level of stimulation.
So it's quite important to do the work beforehand and get to know that person and make sure that they are not overly stimulated or really overly distracted by visual or any auditory stimulus.